Again, I think my mic might have been muted when I just did that. So I had created a sketch on the bottom of my part. I used project to project the pegs through to the bottom. And now I'm going to use linear pattern within my sketch menu to pattern one circle up to the next row and over, or I could draw them in individually. It really doesn't matter which method you use. Linear pattern, choose my one circle, and instead of going left or right, I can actually adjust it and drag it vertically. Change my distance to a brick unit. Change the number of instances to 2. Once it's confirmed, I can then go back and use the vertical constraint to tie the shape vertical. Well, it looks like my brick unit didn't confirm. So let me try that again. There we go. Now I see that it worked. It's 8. So now I can use the same feature again, linear pattern. I can choose the circle I just created. And I'm going to pattern 4 of them across the top here. And it's really not necessary to do 4, but I'm going to go ahead and do 4 just for the purpose of the video. We only need 2. So variable brick unit, tab to confirm, change the instance number to 4, tab to confirm, enter, left click to confirm final. All right. So what we're going to see on the bottom is we're not actually going to see these pegs. We're going to see the circles that result from in between the pegs, just like you do on a single width Lego brick. So I'm going to go ahead and create 2 of those circles, and then I can pattern those circles when I'm done. So I'm going to have one in between here and here, and one between these 2 circles. There's probably a more simpler way to do this, but I want to make sure you follow the steps and you understand what I'm doing. Tangent, peg edge to circle, circle to peg, circle to peg, circle to peg, and then this circle is lined up with the peg horizontally. So horizontal constraint, center of circle to center of peg. This circle is lined up to the peg vertically, so I can use the vertical constraint, center of circle to center of peg. All right. Now I also need to draw a rectangle of the region I'm going to remove as well. And so the rectangle, I actually have 3 rectangles. One that is larger than the circles here. And I will go ahead and constrain that to these 4 circles using the tangent feature. Tangent, constrain side of rectangle to side of peg, constrain other side of rectangle to side of peg, top rectangle to the top of a peg, bottom of the rectangle to the bottom of the peg. And now I have 2 rectangles here on the side, so I can say rectangle again. Same on the opposite side. Tangent, circle to rectangle, circle to rectangle. circle and rectangle, and circle and rectangle. So what we'll do is we'll extrude cut this portion here and then go back and add in these pegs and then linear pattern. So I'm going to say extrude, and I want to basically extrude, remove all of this. And so I could have done it in two parts, done the rectangle sketch first, then the pegs. So it might become a little bit easier to not click on everything. Ignore it when it turns red like that because it's clicked the tangent spot. Once we've selected everything, the red will go away. And so I want to remove. Now remember, I want to remove a depth of 1 peg height. So change my depth to peg height. Tab to confirm. And then I can click OK to confirm completely. Now if I need my circles to come back, I can turn on my sketch again. Now we'll go ahead and extrude those 2 smaller circles I did. Change from blind to up to part. Click the windscreen. Click OK. Now I have 2 pegs, so now I need to linear pattern 1 more this direction and 1 all the way across my block here. So linear pattern, feature, and I can't do feature because it won't let me pattern 1 circle at a time because I extruded them at the same time. But what I can do is change it to face. Let me turn off my sketch 24 so I don't need it anymore. And zoom in and click the cylindrical face and the top of the cylinder small peg underneath. Choose direction. Parallel line to my direction. You can see it's going off the opposite direction, so we'll switch directions here. Change my distance to brick unit. And I want 4. Or no, I'm sorry, 3. Tab to see it. And then OK to confirm. And now I'm going to do linear pattern again on this peg. Again, I'll choose face pattern. Select the top of my peg. It clicked something else, so I can just delete it out of the menu if I don't want it. Again, I want to choose the top of my peg and the cylindrical side of that peg. So I have 2 faces to pattern. Direction again is going to be horizontal, so I can select a horizontal line. Distance this time will be, zoom out here a little bit so we can see. We want to go 1 brick unit to here, 2, 3. So brick unit times 3. And tab to confirm. Switch directions, of course, so it's going the correct way, and I can see it's in the right spot. So if I like it, I click OK to finalize it. And I can see I messed up by completing a step backwards. Or actually, when I did my original extrusion to remove the rectangle, I wanted to leave a part in on these corners here so that when I complete the fillet, it doesn't end up chopping off part of my block. And so to do that, I can just go back in and edit extrusion 6, or 26 for my case. And I want to unselect these corners here. So I just need to find that in the list. By scrolling back through my list. hard to find it in the list, that's all. There it was, right there. So if I don't want that part extruded, I'll deselect it in my list. And so it's rounded off on the corner there. And if you can't find the exact shape you want, if you can find a greater surface, there it is. If you needed to, you could unselect a different surface that would happen to disclude it, and then you could just click it again to include it. If you need to, you can turn that sketch back on. That'll make it a little bit easier for me. I want to click that part again and unselect that part, the corner, and select the circle again. So now you can see it'll be rounded off on the corners, and that's what I wanted. So we can click OK. We could have done that originally, and that would have been slightly smarter to do. But I forgot to warn you. All right, so there we go. We see the pegs. We see the snap where the pegs fit into, and let's turn this sketch off. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and add my fillets to these corners so my windshield is rounded off. So we use this fillet tool. We're going to click the very edge of my block and the edge up the windshield. So it rounds off both this corner and that one. And my distance is going to be, you can see that doesn't look right because they're not concentric, would be concentric to this circle here, which happens to be a radius of half a brick unit. So brick unit divided by 2. And if I hit tab, I can confirm to see that it looks uniform all the way around. And I can actually go back into my menu up here and select more edges to fillet. So I've now filleted both corners of my windshield. And again, the distance was our variable brick unit divided by 2. Confirm that. So there we go. We see our windshield's round. Now it's starting to look more like our windshield, huh? All right. So we've completed the fillets on the edges of our windshield. We've got the top laid out and the bottom pegs lined up. Now we need to shell out the back. So to do that, we can select our shell button, click the back. Our shell distance is going to be our peg height, variable peg height, tab. We can tab to see that it's kind of working. Now we'll have to do this in 2 steps. We say OK. Because it left this little rectangle here, we're going to extrude remove this rectangle from both the top and the bottom of our windscreen. So to do that, you can just now hit extrude and actually click this rectangular surface on the bottom, click remove, and then under blind, change to symmetric. And what that will allow you to do is then increase the distance of your remove to remove both the area below the rectangle and above the rectangle. It doesn't really matter what your depth is as long as it exceeds the overall brick height of 2. And so you can just drag it as needed to see what that distance needs to be. Brick height of 2 times 2 because of the total distance of this symmetrical extrusion. So I can see that it's now going to remove all the way through my windscreen, and that's what I want. So I will say okay. Now I want to fillet these little corners using the fillet tool again. Click fillet, let's zoom in, select the corner, the opposite corner on the back or the top, and then the two corners on the bottom. Making sure just to click the individual edge of the corner and not the actual part of the shape. Our radius, again, is going to be half a brick unit. And confirm OK. Now technically this is enough, but the real windshield is not quite this thick, so we can actually shell it one more time now that we've created the bottom area. So I'm going to click shell, click the inside surface of the windshield, change my shell thickness to variable, and it's actually going to be peg height divided by 2. Oops, not 8. Tab to confirm, and I'm actually going to select the top region of my sketch as well. And what that'll do is leave this area here on the edge as 0.8, and the bottom of the shell, the original shell we did, is 1.6. All right, once we've completed our shell, we can then right-click on the part in the Parts menu, assign material. From our materials list, we can actually choose acrylic, which is a clear plastic. Click OK. We can also go back and edit our appearance to change the color and the transparency. So we can make our windshield actually transparent. And you can see this by turning on some of the other shapes hiding in the background. So I'll say OK to that. And it shows up as transparent as you move it, but one shape will struggle keeping it transparent if you move too fast or too much, and so it may take a few seconds for it to catch up. All right. So I hope you've learned how to draw something a little bit more complicated while drawing your windscreen. Once you're done, you can import your new shape into the temporary parts bin so that your teacher can then move it from the temporary parts bin to the larger Lego collection.